It's Community Unity Now, the D-Tycoon Show. My co-host, Bill Morton, president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, is not here today. He is still recovering from his injury. I am Trudy Leong, administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. And our very special guest today is Kevin Ryan. He is running for U.S. Senate and for the retiring Dick Durbin seat.
Yes.
Okay.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Kevin. First of all, why run and why choose now to run?
So I decided to choose to run now because the status quo has critically failed. The re-election of Donald Trump, as we have seen, is undermining a lot of the principles and values that this country was founded on. And why should I run for the United States Senate? I think it's because the Democratic Party has atrophied. There's a certain rule book that we're supposed to play by. You have to raise this much money. You have to start at this lower office, move your way up to this office, wait your turn, kiss the right rings. And I think that has created the atrophy within the Democratic Party, which made it incapable of defeating Trump for a second time. So I think we need to start electing Democrats who are bold and who are willing to act boldly. And so running for this seat is my first act of being bold and saying that I reject the old model of waiting your turn, of raising and spending tens of millions of dollars, and instead I'm thinking and acting anew, as Lincoln said, and I'm daring to be bold because now is not the time for timidity.
So you mentioned that you have to kiss a lot of rings to get the Democratic support. Where did you learn this, and do you know whose rings you have to kiss?
So I was trained to run for office by this organization called New Politics Leadership Academy, a wonderful organization that I think does some really good work in making sure that people run for office for the right reason. And so as I went through that process, I was put in touch with political consultants and people who are involved in politics. And they're the ones who kind of, let me peek behind the curtain to show me, this is what you have to do, this is who you need to speak with. And most of these people were, the rings that you have to kiss in many ways were either leaders within the Cook County Democratic Party or, equally important, the mega donors in the Chicagoland area. Because those mega donors, one, can contribute to your campaign, and then they can put you in touch with other very wealthy people who can then contribute to your campaign. And money to them is the most important thing.
So in exchange for the contributions, do they have you promised to help them with their agenda?
No, not really. It doesn't work that way. So what I've discovered, the corrupting influence of money in politics, it's not a quid pro quo. It's not bribery. They're not asking you to do this in exchange for that. Instead, if you look at our system, you run for re-election every 2 years in the House, every 6 years in the Senate. And so you're constantly raising money. And you need these people to be constantly replenishing that money and contributing to you. So it's more, if you do something they don't like, they will turn off the faucet, right? So they'll turn the faucet on for you. And if you start acting a little bit independently, you start making some noise that maybe they don't like, they can just very easily turn off that faucet and then make sure that their friends turn off their faucets too. And then you know what they might do? They might go over here and turn on the faucet for someone else. And that person might primary you, right? So that's kind of how they control things. It's not exactly quid pro quo, but it's still a form of influence and control.
Mm. It sounds a lot like quid pro quo to me. Because if you're... you could sense what they do want. So if you go against what they want, then you don't do what they want, then you don't get the support.
Sure, I guess it seems a little bit more indirect, right? Because they're not specifically asking you to vote this way or to propose this or do that. But you're right. You do know. You kind of have an understanding based on what this person is, what their interests are. And so if you're going against those interests, they might not support you. So it's that kind of fear in the back of your head that would make you not want to go against those interests.
So how do you raise money then? How do you how did the oh, by the way, the new Politics Leadership Academy, do they charge for the classes, or do they how?
No, they don't. So they fundraise on their own to support their staff, and they have a lot of volunteers. So after I went through it, I also volunteered myself as a facilitator. They have this program called Answering the Call, and I think it is a phenomenal program. And anyone who's interested in running for office at the local or state, federal level, it's a great thing to get involved with. Now, it is geared towards people who've served in the military and national service. But it is it's a great program because it really makes you uncover your why as to why are you running, and it helps you understand some of the risks too that once you enter politics, that traps to look out for and things to be aware of, because power is, it's almost like a drug, right? And political power can be a very corrupting and dangerous drug if you're not careful with it. So no.
Is that your conclusion, or do they instill that in you?
Probably a little bit of both. So one metaphor that they use, which I really like, is the metaphor of the candle. The candle, it casts light, and that's the good that you're putting out into the world. But a candle also casts a shadow, right? And so they want you to be mindful of that shadow. What are those, like, maybe selfish motivations or interests that you have, almost like the yin and the yang, right? And if you're not aware of that shadow can, that might be able to overcome you or might influence you in ways that go counter to the light that you're trying to give out into the world.
In other words, even though you might get ahead, it might be a double-edged sword once you get that corrupting influence on you.
Right, yeah.
Does the Academy have any graduates that are in public office now, so that we could have an example of someone who was able to quote-unquote graduate from the program?
That's a good question. I'm not sure from New Leadership Academy, New Politics Leadership Academy. I'm not sure any of those alum. I think they definitely have some state candidates who the state assemblies. I'm not sure at the federal level. I do know the sister program, which is called New Politics. That is that's a PAC, so they're political. The Leadership Academy is bipartisan or non-political. And so the political PAC, they do support candidates, and their first candidate that won federal office was Congressman Seth Moulton from Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. So,
but he didn't go. But he did not go through that the Leadership Academy. He was just, supported by New Politics. Yeah.
PAC. Oh, okay. So you don't have any fellow classmates that were with you in the academy?
We did have classmates, but I don't know any of them that have won office yet.
Okay.
And it's possible that some of them may have, and I just don't know.
Do you know how old the academy is? When did they form?
It's relatively recent. I think in the last decade or so.
So I guess the state of the Democratic Party led to their formation, so that they could try to get out from under the shadow of the Democratic Party, from the influence of the special interests.
Yes, but not just the Democratic Party though. So they want candidates of just quality caliber across both parties. The reality of it is that most people, I think, have been Democrats through New Politics, but their priority is not partisan ideology. It's more about quality candidates that they are putting out there.
So when you started running, did you meet any people that were interested in your campaign, and then maybe some people that saw what you were running for and asked you perhaps to not run?
There were plenty of people who, they didn't ask me not to run, but kind of looked at me like I'm crazy and saying, like, you should not run. Or there were people that I met, and the first thing they would ask before, I talked about why I was running or what I want to do, the first thing they would ask is, well, how much money can you raise in the first week, in the first month, in the first quarter? All they cared about was my fundraising capability. And so I started to move away from those people, and I didn't really spend time with them because I know what they're going to say. They think this this style of campaign I'm trying to do is impossible, so I'm not going to waste my time with them. The people that I do like to spend my time with, and there's a couple, even a couple aldermen in Chicago, who told me, don't let anyone tell you not to run, right? And the people who say like only you can make it possible, and don't listen to the detractors. And what's been
are those aldermen have they been in the military?
No. But and I do want to I respect their privacy, so I don't want to give their names. But so it's been very cool. I started this campaign with just this idea that perhaps money doesn't actually matter, and that a quality of a candidate who rejects the donor class and the big money and the rings that you're supposed to kiss can win if they go directly to the people in a truly authentic grassroots campaign. Started with this idea. It was something no one had really tested before, to my knowledge, and I could have failed completely. But instead, the opposite has happened, and we have continued to compound support. And I'm happy to say today, without spending $1, we have reached over 2.5 million people over our social media. And so, when the message sells itself, when you have a real message, you don't need to purchase it. You don't need to buy ads to push it on people. And that's where all this money goes. About 80% of a campaign's money goes towards advertising to try and push name recognition.
Is it? Do you know if your supporters are also military? Because you were a Marine, right?
Yes. No, supporters are across the board. I certainly have veterans like to support veterans, especially the Marine Corps. Marine Corps is almost a cult. It's a very tight-knit community. So we do have a lot of veteran support, but also we just have, really, there's two camps that I see, and it's everyday people and it's people who are involved in politics. And the people who are involved in politics look at this campaign as a pariah, as a non-starter, as an impossible dream. The people on the outside of the tent, the grassroots, everyday people, they look at me and they say, finally, a real candidate, a real campaign that I can actually get behind. I feel like I'm not just talking to someone who's bought and sold.
So what, as a Marine, do you translate over to your campaign? What are your Marine values that you are injecting into your campaign and your platform?
I mean, I think the biggest one is boldness, right? Be bold, do the hard thing because that's the right thing to do. Don't let someone tell you can't, right? That was the whole thing about joining the Marine Corps. It's one of the most difficult branches to join. It takes a lot of grit and determination to get through. And so I think, and I was in the infantry, right? An infantry officer, and with the infantry officer course in the Marine Corps, and it's a difficult course to pass. About half the people fail on any given year. And I think about the grit and determination it takes to get through that, and I apply that to the campaign, saying, don't let anyone tell me no. I'm not going to quit. I see a way that we should be doing things, and I'm going to pursue that way, and I'm not going to let moneyed interests tell me otherwise.
So the boldness does not come from the New Politics Leadership Academy. It comes from the Marines.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say the boldness comes from the Marine Corps, and the understanding of politics and the pros and cons of getting involved in politics. That comes from New Politics Leadership Academy.
And then, what was the main issue of the seat? That what is do you want to change that made you run in the first place?
So again, it was back to the atrophy of the Democratic Party and being incapable of preventing Trump from returning. I think that's because they have more or less left the working class and working families, and instead have been spending so much time with this elite donor class, the corporate Democrats, which I think started with Bill Clinton. And so we need to go back to our New Deal roots. I consider myself a New Deal Democrat, and we need to focus on working families and not these donor corporate elite. And the way that we do that, the number one issue that I care about, is taking money out of politics by passing a constitutional amendment that establishes campaign spending limits and eliminates super PAC funding. That would solve a lot of our problems when our politicians are not reliant on these donors.
So is there anything like that now in the going through the legislature?
So there's been a couple attempts to do this. There's been a few joint resolutions in the last several years that have been introduced. I think the difference is, however, it's a typical thing that people in Congress do. They introduce hundreds of bills a year, but then they don't do anything about them. And then they issue a press release saying, like, today I introduced this bill in Congress, and to make it look like they're doing something. But then when you look at how many bills that they've sponsored have become public law, it's usually very few. And it's usually to rename a post office, right? So what I'm advocating for is actually getting something done on campaign finance reform. So on day one, I would introduce a joint resolution to pass this amendment. But then I won't just leave it, I will campaign on it. I will get in the school bus that's parked outside, and I will canvass those red states like Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, just like I've been canvassing the red counties of Illinois. Because when I go down to these red counties, the people sign on. They say, yes, we don't want billionaires and the ultra-wealthy controlling our elections and deciding who runs this country. This 71% of Americans support campaign spending limits. The popular support is there. We just need a leader in Congress who will drive it forward.
A lot of the grassroots and workers, they have the unions, and then often the union leaders are still working with those mega donors there, and the leadership as well. So how would you separate that? So you do want union support, but oftentimes the union supports the status quo candidates.
So the union leadership has always supported Democrats, and it's obvious because Republicans in Congress have no interest of supporting workers or unions. If they did, the PRO Act would have passed, right? It's just clear. I mean, this goes back to Richard Nixon and the hard hat riots about trying to drive this wedge between working class people. So unions, they contribute to campaigns, certainly, but the contributions that unions make are nothing compared to corporate interests. So I'm not so worried about that. What I am worried about is the 60% or more of union members, especially from the building trades, that voted for Trump in the previous election. The leadership supports Democrats, but the membership keeps leaching towards the right, and it's against their interest. And it's because, from what I can tell, the Democratic Party has become out of touch with workers because they spend all their time, a third or more of their time, fundraising with these wealthy elites. And so they don't know what it's like to be in some of these communities. I mean, we're going to all 102 counties. I've been to over 70 so far. What other candidates are doing that to learn the issues that people are going through? For example, down in Cairo, the southern tip of Illinois, I talked to residents there. They tell me they haven't had a grocery store or a gas station in over a decade. And this is a Democratic town. Why isn't anyone doing anything for Cairo? Probably because there's no money or votes there, so they don't care about it. But that's wrong. So we need to rethink our politics so that we can make better government.
Mm-hmm. And so they just go where the money is. If it doesn't have anything to do with money, then they really don't care that much about the people, the status quo.
Unless
right now.
They can get a photo op. If you can get a photo op and put it on social media, or if you can get donations or votes, that's really, I feel like, all they care about. Because once you get into office, I think the most important thing you care about is staying in office.
Mm-hmm. And building trades, you said that 60% of them voted.
Rough estimate. Yeah.
Rough. Mm-hmm. Well, have you spoken with the members of the building trade, and when they learn about what your message, then what is the reaction?
Yes, so I've spoken to plenty of union members downstate. Union leadership, especially from the building trades that I've spoken with, they've given me robust support. And then downstate, when I talk to the members themselves, I mean, I have a guy. I mean, it's not a building trade, but the Teamsters, I have a guy in a MAGA hat who's signing my petition down in Pulaski County, Illinois. It's right next to Alexander County, southern tip of Illinois. And he told me he's a retired Teamster. And he said the Democratic Party left him. He didn't leave the Democratic Party. But when I told him my pitch, everything I'm telling to you, he signed my petition. This is how the Democratic Party wins again. We bring these people back into the fold by going back to our New Deal roots about direct federal spending to help grow the middle class, help support workers, and stop this oligarchic expansion of billionaires and their control over our society.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it kind of hard, though, since they have control over many parts of the society to actually break in?
Yes, it is.
How are the petitions coming along? What's your message? Are you done with the petitions? Like a couple of times over what you need, and how many do you need?
So we need 5,000 to get on the ballot, and we are a couple thousand over that right now. So, but we're going to keep going until we get the max, which is 10,000.
And your volunteers, how do you find them?
Honestly, they find us, which is great. So like driving that bus around, people see it. It's kind of like a moving billboard, and they reach out to us. They see our videos on TikTok and Instagram and other social media, and they reach out to us. They say like, finally, this is a campaign that I believe in and I want to get involved. And they have been just doing amazing work helping us get petitions. We've gotten petition signatures in every single county we visited.
Oh, okay. So, and they don't even ask for payment. They'll just actually volunteer to knock on doors.
Yeah, most of them are volunteers. We do have a couple paid staff, but most of these people are volunteers.
How do you have enough money to? How hard is it to fundraise for the campaign? Since you don't want to concentrate on that other kind of normal fundraising, how hard is it for you to fundraise enough to maintain the campaign?
So yeah, we're not really doing active fundraising. We just kind of been doing this grassroots fundraising. So we have our donation page on our website, and every now and then I'll post a story on our social media with the link to it. And then if people want to donate, they donate. What I haven't been doing, which was what you typically do as a candidate, is what's called call time. And you have a Rolodex and you have your phone, and you go through and you're like, hey, I need $200. Hey, I need $1,000. So I have not been doing that, but what's been really rewarding is people have been coming up and supporting us anyway through this grassroots fundraising method.
Mm-hmm. Because for call time, you don't think that you have enough time to actually talk with the voter?
There's no way I could be doing call time and doing what I'm doing, visiting all these counties.
Right. So I guess you had to give up your full-time job in order to campaign full-time.
Yes, I did.
Okay. What other issues are you also trying to address?
Right. So I think that it was as a New Deal Democrat, it starts with getting money out of politics so we can start electing people who are more responsive to working families. And then we can start instituting New Deal policies. We should be investing in healthcare, education, childcare, housing, instead of defense contractors, instead of renewing our ICBMs that have nuclear warheads that are more or less obsolete, and even if there was a nuclear war. We need to treat our domestic populace, invest in them like we invest in our defense.
Yeah, and this is a military person talking about the military-industrial complex.
Yes, it is a problem. I mean, it was a military person who coined that phrase.
Right.
General Eisenhower.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you understand it very well.
Yes, I worked in the Pentagon. I've seen it. I mean, we should not be spending half of our discretionary budget on defense.
Mm-hmm. And you said that there's ranked choice voting and then other type of voting that could actually get the
of course
candidate.
Yes, nonpartisan ranked choice voting. That will make more competitive elections, and I think that will actually solve the problem of term limits. I'm not opposed to term limits, but I think there's a better answer, and that's nonpartisan ranked choice voting, because if we have more competitive elections, we will get more competitive candidates, higher quality candidates, and we'll see more natural turnover instead of forcing people out of office.
But isn't it very hard to get rid of this two-party system?
So it doesn't get rid of the two-party system. It just changes the election framework from partisan control of the primaries. So like in Illinois, when you go to vote in the primary, you choose a Republican, Democrat, or independent ballot, right? Under a nonpartisan ranked choice voting, there's just one election. We get rid of all those, and all the candidates are on one ballot, and you can rank them per your preference. And then it keeps going until there's one winner.
So each candidate could have their name associated with a party.
Of course, yeah, of course. But the parties aren't controlling the primaries.
So is that how close is that to being in fruition in Illinois?
I don't think we're close to it at all. I don't think the Democratic Party wants to give up its control of its primary election.
So if our viewers want to learn more about you, where should they go?
If you want to learn more about me and our campaign, you should go to runwithkev.com. runwithkev.com. It's run with me because this is what it's about. It's not about me. It's about all of us. That's why I want to change our elections to help make this democracy work for all of us. So runwithkev.com. You can also follow us on social media. All of our links are on the website. So that's the best way to reach us.
And What about your friends and families? What do they say about your campaign?
They have been the strongest supporters, and it's been amazing. At first, again, most of them kind of thought I was crazy. Like, you bought a school bus? What are you doing? You're running for the Senate? But once we started getting rolling and they see what I'm talking about and how we're campaigning, it fills them with inspiration, and it keeps wind in my sails.
And you have always been in politics, always interested in politics. You understand how well do you understand politics before the new politics leadership academy?
I've always had an interest in government, and I think running for office it should be a noble thing that people aspire to do. Politics shouldn't be a dirty word. I'm trying to clean it up so we can have people who say, yeah, I want to run for office, because people should be able to say that without being like labeled as a narcissist or someone who is selfish and cares about themselves. We need to clean up our politics so that politics is no longer a dirty word.
Mm-hmm. And your bus, is it a used bus?
Yes, it's a used bus, 2002 Chevy Bluebird school bus that we renovated into our mobile office.
Oh, so your staff goes with you to all these?
Yes, we bring staff with us depending on where we're going. It changes how many people come with, but yes.
Mm-hmm. And your supporters, these new supporters that you find along the road, do any of them become volunteers in that area, like in that town, so that you have
yes.
Precinct captains?
Yes, and I will say I have the strongest precinct captains in Cairo, Illinois. My DJ Tyrone, if you're listening, thank you for all the work you're doing down there. They are truly amazing people, and they've made Cairo a very special place in my heart.
Well, Kevin Ryan, candidate for U.S. Senate for the retiring Senator Dick Durbin. Thank you so much for joining us on Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. From Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and me, Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for watching Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show, and we will see you again next week.